The Live Financially Savvy podcast was created by Atia, the savvy accountant. She is a CPA, CA, and certified financial educator instructor. She has a passion for building generational wealth and wants to help you and others to do the same. She's created the podcast to help others live financially savvy. Lower your debt and build your net worth using techniques you learned here from others doing amazing things to live financially savvy.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Live Financially Savvy podcast. I'm your host, Atia, aka the Savvy Accountant, and today I'm excited that I'm ending my April series for Financial Literacy Month. I wanted to highlight men doing great things in finance and in the financial community for our community. And so today I'm talking to Selvin Quire from InQuire Higher. So InQuire Higher is a Los Angeles-based comprehensive college consulting company. Their mission is to provide students and families with streamlined information about college and to empower them to make informed decisions for their future. They assist college-bound students through in-person, virtual, one-on-one sessions and group workshops. So I speak to Selvin about different programs and how they help the students and their parents and how they help them navigate the college life. Selvin and his wife created the company and they were first generation going to college. And so they faced a lot of difficulty. And I think they wanted to streamline that for the next generation and help them with their anxiety, with any financial issues, and just get them information that they needed to make their transition from high school to college smoother. So we're going to speak about a lot of different programs. So I think this episode is great if you have students that are going into college. Even if you have college age students now, it's not too late to learn different programs that might be out there. So I'm excited for you guys to get into this episode and hear from Selvin. Listen to the end of the podcast because we're working on something to partner to end Financial Literacy Month. So listen to the end and there'll be details on how you guys can enter to win something. So without further ado, let's get into the episode. Hey, so welcome to the podcast, Selvin. So I just want to thank you for being here. And I like my guests to introduce themselves to the audience in their own words. So even though I read your bio, can you just introduce yourself and give background on how you got started and what made you start your company?
Yeah, definitely. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. So my name is Selvin Quire. I'm the CEO and co-founder of InQuire Higher College Consulting Group. So we're a comprehensive college consulting company that specializes in college preparation for high school students and just pretty much preparing them for that next stage in their life. So our company began in 2016. And the background of it is it was a company that me and my wife started, my wife Ashley. And after we graduated, our first careers were in higher education. So I worked as a student advisor, so more so on the academic side. And my wife actually started in the admissions side. So we had both sides of the coin in terms of a student's enrollment. So specifically, the front end where the student is, kind of inquiring in schools and things of that nature and trying to get information before they actually enroll. And then the other side when they're actually in and going through their classes and getting that type of advice. So it wasn't planned or anything. That was just kind of we graduated, we're looking for that first job, and we ended up there, and the careers or just the positions that we had really kind of honed in on our own personal experiences when it came to college, because we would sit back and reflect just kind of what our experience was like even before and after we started. And with us being first generation students, or just, the first to be able to attend college, the common theme was lack of guidance or just lack of information when it came to the applying side, as well as once we actually got into school, when it comes to the academics, and then also on the financial side. So a lot of those things didn't really come up until after we finish, and kind of when we're reflecting on those experiences. So one of the biggest impacts that we did see was just the financial side. So reflecting on basically the amount of debt that we went into to finance our college degrees, and the impact that it had on our post-graduation lives. So a lot of things that you hear, at least in the media, and just in other sources, and just probably from anybody's experiences, that at least the college students or graduates in this generation do have delays when it comes to major purchases, for example, or family plans and things of that nature, and it's stemming from the debt, and we've experienced some of those things as well.
Yeah.
So when it came to reflecting on this, Ashman, what she said, this is something that a lot of people go through, and something that they would really benefit from if we're able to kind of talk about our own experiences and provide that advice and guidance. And I was game with that idea, and so once we actually got to that point, kind of the year before, the beginning of 2016 was the preparations for putting that together, what we wanted that to look like. And then we just kind of, went with it, and started with doing workshops for different organizations that do serve either the middle school, but mostly the high school age students. And really just basically talking about, the kinds of things that we've done within our own experiences, what led up to those things, some of the things that we look at and say, hey, we probably could have done this a little bit differently. So it started off with those, again, kind of discussion-based workshops that we had with students, and we could really tell that they were really soaking in that information. So it kind of snowballed into from going into that to then doing more one-on-one work with students, and really tailoring that type of guidance to what their goals were. And really that's what we've been working on. So it's been really fun. It's been really exciting. And for the biggest thing is that it's been very fulfilling to have that type of work, and that really goes to our personal experiences, but at the same time, it's really guiding the future college students to have that information before they do take that next step.
Awesome. So I think that you definitely touched upon a lot, and you stated that you guys were the first generation. So it's kind of hard to know what you're getting into when you're the first ones doing it. And you noticed that there was a lack of info and a lack of guidance. So would you say that was the main catalyst that you were seeing, that was the main issue when it came to higher education for people in our community going from college to high school to college?
Yeah, that was really the main thing. I think the phrase that we always use is, sometimes you don't know the right questions to ask, or you don't know what you don't know. Yeah. And really that's what the company really stems from, is being able to provide that information and allow the students, and especially with the support of their parents, to make really well-informed decisions. Even though it's difficult to know exactly what you want to do when you're 16 or 17, but at least you are you're utilizing all the tools and the information that you have to make the best decision for you at that time, and then even prepare for any type of obstacles that might come in the way. So yeah, so I mean, definitely just the qualities of being a first generation student were definitely set the foundation for the type of work that we do.
Okay, that's great. And so you guys are kind of like advocates for the students, and you guys let them know what's out there and what they should look for. And so do you guys have, when you said you do one-on-one, are you basically doing like consulting for the financial aspect, or is it more letting them know what they can possibly go into based on their skills and what they enjoy doing currently?
Yeah. It's very comprehensive. It's very holistic as far as the approach that we take. It's so starting with really trying to figure out who that student is that we're working with, and then ensuring that they know who they are and the things that they're interested in, the things that they're good at, because that could definitely be one of the starting points that they have to decide what route they want to take when it comes to looking at school and advancing their education. One of the things that I think makes us stand out is the concentration that we have on value, and really just the value of the education that you're getting. So first of all, especially when it comes to the financial side, and just us being having that firsthand experience of taking on the student debt that we had taken on, and then really trying to manage those aspects afterward. We've definitely learned from our mistakes, and we want to make sure that if a student is looking to, go to, for example, a private, 4-year institution, and the tuition is set at a certain point, and they know they would have to take out student loans, for example. Allowing them to take a look at that and really look at it over the course of 4 years, what that's going to look like once they actually get into the repayment, because these are the things that at least the students that we worked with, they're not thinking about the post graduation parts. Yep. They're definitely excited to start taking those steps to start that new chapter, and we absolutely love the enthusiasm that they have when it comes to that. And especially once you point them out to a school, or if they find a school that they're just absolutely in love with when it comes to just, the different opportunities that they would have. A lot of those times the financial side is out of that love that they have with the school. So we want to make sure that they that they're putting those things together, and really thinking about those things, just so that they are not only knowing exactly what they're getting into, but also the opportunities that they have, which again really kind of builds up to that value. So if you're not just going to class and getting the grades that you're getting, but you're utilizing the resources that are available to students, if you're getting involved with either student organizations or doing community service, those opportunities are again adding to that value that you necessarily wouldn't put a dollar amount on. So we want to make sure that they're aware of both sides of that, and then make them feel confident, along with that enthusiasm of getting into that school, or really starting that undergrad program that they're trying to get into.
I definitely agree with that enthusiasm. So I have some nieces who are going off to college, and it's awesome when they're doing the college tours. So I'm Canadian by rec, and I just wasn't aware. I wasn't privy to this world growing up. We don't have as much colleges as you guys, so not that I was aware of. Mm-hmm. There was 2 main big colleges in my city, and so for business, you went to one or the other.
Okay.
There wasn't really college tours, and so it's cool to see that enthusiasm and them going to the tours, telling you what they like about those campuses. Like, I think it's really awesome. But at the same time, you mentioned speaking to them about the value. And I think the way the student debt is set up in the US, knowing the value of the education you're going to get versus what you're going to spend for it. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, you need to kind of look at it as what's your return on investment.
Yeah, exactly. And really, viewing it as an investment. I think it's good to be aware or conscious of, what you're spending, but not solely being having tunnel vision on that aspect of it. some of the things that we also go over is, checking, for example, starting salaries, or what that would actually look like. And then tying it to, what are they, what's the tuition looking like, and, the anticipated debt, and, so that they are, again, having that comprehensive and holistic approach to just their search. And again, kind of, without even realizing that they are trying to make sure that they're having a good return on their investments. So that's that's like the information that we try to provide to them without, maybe throwing in words that might discourage them from going through that search. And then, to bring it to your point, it's definitely a different world here. If there were, two major schools that you were aware of, versus now I think it's around, 5,300 schools that are in the U.S., and there are different types of institutions with different backgrounds and things like that. So, it's nice to have choices, but it's like kind of going to being a kid in the candy store. You have so many choices, and you're running around and trying to figure out what's the best one for you. Yeah. It can be a little stressful at times. So
overwhelming, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely, because there are a lot of good opportunities that are out there, and then the question is, which one is the right one for me?
Yeah. So it definitely makes sense. And I think that holistic approach I'm sure it's very beneficial to the students. So we talked a lot about how you guys work with the students. How do you loop the parents in and get the parents looped into your program when it comes to their child going off to college?
So we want to make sure that this is the focus is the students, and what's best for them. And one of the biggest things that that we personally wouldn't be able to provide is parental support. And so we let them know about that from the beginning, that that they both need to be involved with that whole process. So later down the line, we do talk about the financial side, and the parents then have more of a listening ear on that side of it. But we also at the same time want the student to be aware of kind of what they're getting into, and what their parents' involvements will be. So we just want to, when it comes to the academic side, we have a lot of the talking with the students, and but we do want to make sure that the parents is there, because a lot of the times they're thinking of things that the student might not be thinking of, and they're able to interject with any questions. And we can tell when sometimes the parent then asks this question, and the student's like, oh, I actually didn't think about that, and it was a really good point. Glad that you're here to ask that, because then it makes them feel a little bit better about the whole process, because it can be overwhelming. So again, we want to make sure that they're both in it from the get-go, from the beginning of the process, where it's more of choosing schools, to near the end, where it's now comparing financial aid awards and figuring out what's going to be the best decision for them. So that's the message that we want to send out to both the students and the family at the beginning.
Okay. And so what programs should parents be aware of, so that they can bring to their children, and so that they can be proactive in knowing what schools to look for and what type of scholarships to apply for? Are there deadlines to apply for these scholarships? Do these kids know about these deadlines? Is it in their junior year that they have to be focused on these things?
Yeah, we actually want them to be aware of what's out there as early as possible. So we have different plans, because all students or parents, or we may not reach all students and parents when when the students in their freshman year. So so we do have separate ways where we reach out to the freshmen all the way through the seniors. And when it comes to different scholarships and grants that they can apply for, I mean, there are tons that are out there, and they all have different deadlines and different criteria to actually apply or be eligible for them. And the difficult part is not necessarily finding them, but taking the time to apply to them and being aware of them in advance. Some of them might start with providing information that you have while you're a sophomore. Some start with freshman year. Some just might be within that same year, which makes it a little bit easier. But it's really without having a specific program in mind, because again, they have different deadlines and criteria. It's really just starting with starting with online resources. We provide ones that are out there that take some of that grunt work of searching away. And we also just ensure that they kind of look locally, or they're putting more attention on some of the local organizations that are out there that might be providing those different types of opportunities, and and the deadlines that are out there. So for parents, that's one great way that they can support their students, by just trying to collect as much information as possible. Because when it comes to the students, they're not only thinking about the scholarships, they're also thinking about their standardized testing. They're also going through their own classes just as a high school students. Also trying to find classes to challenge them, which will also help them once they go farther down the line. So they have a lot to think about. And so one of the things that the parents can do to take some of that stress off is just to keep their eyes peeled for those different types of opportunities. And just even the resources or banks or different online websites that have search engines to really find that info. So collecting what they can based on what they know about their students.
That's good to know. So I didn't realize that scholarships can start looking at in your freshman year. I wonder how many people know that. That's pretty early.
Yeah, it's early, and a lot of the efforts when it comes to just making students aware sometimes can even begin in middle school. So it's I think with some of the different opportunities, there's one at the very least that looks at the pre-SAT score, which is a standardized test that is basically a precursor for the SAT, or just meant to help with the SAT, that mostly sophomores take. So, so to be aware of that scholarship opportunity that starts with the PSAT is definitely essential. So you're just really keeping your eyes peeled for those different types of opportunities, because it could use information from an earlier year than when you're actually applying for that.
All right, so that's really good information. I think that I didn't know that you can start applying as a freshman. So that's good to know that we can look out for that and look for that as parents, that we can help them.
Definitely.
And so what are some of the ways that you help reduce the stress, that if they come to you because the students are stressed out because they're in their final year and they're not sure what they're going to be doing next year, but they know they want to go to college. Mm-hmm. What are some of the ways that you mitigate that stress, and some advice and solutions that you come up with?
So if in the extreme case, for example, if they're coming to us maybe just before their senior year and they're kind of running around with their heads cut off or whatever, we start with basically breaking down what that whole process would look like. So, you know, because the whole process itself, even if you're starting way early, it can definitely be stressful. So shortening that time is definitely now compacting that stress over a shorter period of time. So our whole approach is to really break everything down into different parts and then streamline it from there. So, when it comes to, for example, taking a look at the interests that they have, we would take some time to just look at that and really focus on that without going further down the line until they feel comfortable. And then we just kind of take that approach as we go through each of those steps. So if they're coming to us with that short amount of time, then at that point, then we need to meet a little bit more frequently to make sure that that they're on track. So so we do provide kind of like a crash course option if they're kind of falling into that category or reaching out to us at that point. But again, really it's just starting with breaking down the process and then just focusing on each part before moving on to the next one, just so that they don't feel overwhelmed, because they're then kind of coming to us kind of in a panic. So we want to make sure that we're calming that down as much as possible, and lowering that stress and increasing the confidence at that point. So whether it is the senior or the freshman, we take that same approach, to again just make sure that that they'll still be successful going through it and not feel as stressed as they do when they do come to us.
Okay, that's good to know. And so, do you have any programs that you're working on now that you want to tell the audience about? I know that it's Financial Literacy Month, and so I think that preparing for your college education is definitely something that people need to be more aware of. And I know
definitely.
There's programs and there's funds that parents can start contributing to. So there's like the 529s that they can contribute to that their child would get when they go on to higher education. Are there any other programs like 529s that parents might not be aware of?
Let's see. So there are, trying to think of specific programs. So while I'm kind of trying to figure out a specific program that they think they can be aware of, in light of Financial Literacy Month, one of the efforts that we're doing is, and we're doing it through our email list subscribers, as well as the folks who do follow us on social media. We're providing a lot of information in regards to saving. Not only before they actually get into school, so that would be more directed towards the parents, but also while they actually get into school, in terms of just, simple things that they would use once they actually graduate, like budgeting and, building credit wisely, especially if they're on their own or if they're out of state or just a little bit farther away from home, that they can feel confident that they're, not that they're making smart and intentional decisions. So a lot of the efforts that we're providing in terms of that are just basically like very small but useful tidbits that they can really take on, as they're going through that entire process. 529 is something that we would highlight as well, especially not only for the parents who have students who are about within 4 years away of attending college, but if they have siblings, some of the efforts that they can do now to help them, especially while that first one is in school, and some of the the financial impact that could have on the family. And so just really trying to give them that information so that they can prepare accordingly, without having to without having to impact, let's say, for example, the school choice of the first child to, help with the second one. So things like that, because we've had parents who had that type of concern. So giving them information as far as things that they can do, when it comes to, helping with financing and then also saving on that same end, where, both students in that example can still have, again, that streamlined experience. So that's again, that's a lot of the information that we provide, is we try to make it as practical as possible, without sounding too jargony, if you will.
Yeah. That's a good point, because I definitely know that the 529, it could be passed down to siblings. And I'm sure if parents have they have children who are close in age, the deciding factor of which schools the older ones get to go to are going to depend on how much it costs and what's going to be left for the other children.
Definitely. And one thing that I just thought about, when it comes to passing down benefits, any parent who's involved in the VA would also have different programs that they're eligible for. Like, for example, Yellow Ribbon is a program that they can utilize benefits to help actually not only themselves but also their children, when it comes to helping them get through school. And so, generally they would have a set amount of benefits that they can use between, anyone in the immediate family, or particularly themselves or their children. And then they can either, for example, give it all to one kid. I'm not sure if they would want to do that, but they can do that, or they can split it up, between the two kids. They can use part of that for themselves. But that's another opportunity that they can utilize. And, the different schools have different ways of managing that and providing that information, especially within those financial aid offices. So, so if the student's parent is a veteran, then that's definitely something that they could take advantage of.
Okay. That's definitely good to know. I'll
definitely. And then actually another point, now that I think about it, the parents, their employer might have, tuition reimbursement options, or if they do work at a university, they might have tuition remission opportunities where the institution would actually pay or cover the tuition for the students, which can be a big help, especially if they're living on campus, because that's a separate cost that they would have to worry about. But if you're getting a benefit that is, is completely covering the tuition, so maybe the only expense is living at home, or sorry, not living at home, but living on campus. Or if you decide to live at home, then, virtually all of those expenses throughout the year are taken care of because you're at home and not utilizing the residence halls while you're there. So that could be a big impact, or that could be really huge to a family to take advantage of if they're in that position. So looking to their employers, I think, is another opportunity that just might be under the nose that they might not be aware of. So they can take that route again if those opportunities are available to them.
That's a great point. I never even thought of that, but that'll definitely benefit, and that comes from knowing what benefits your employer offers.
Exactly. Yeah. So
a lot of people don't know everything that's offered, and they offer a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of perks, the little small things. But if there's any type of remission or reimbursements, benefits, it goes back to that whole value aspect. That's definitely value within their within their employment that their student could then take advantage of.
Exactly. So that's a great point. Thanks for bringing that up. I think I'm definitely going to mention that in the show notes, because that's something that people might overlook.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So is there anything specifically that you want the audience to do? They can reach out to you. I'm going to have all your information in the show notes so they can reach out to you. I know you said that you guys are doing stuff for the Financial Literacy Month. So I want to make
Yes.
sure they can get in contact with you.
Yeah. So first of all, so they can take a look at our website, which is InQuireHigher.com, and so we have all of our contact information, some pretty useful articles. We talk about some of the things that we do, and just the mission that we have with our company and how we want to help students. So that's one area that they can look in. We are also on social media. So for Facebook, it's www.facebook.com/InQuire Higher. For Twitter, our name is simply InQuire Higher, and it's the same thing for Instagram, where we're pretty active on and providing that information. We also do monthly giveaways, mainly on Instagram. So, anyone can follow us on there just to not only have a really good college prep tips available to them, but they can also take advantage of the giveaways that we provide each month. Let's see. If you want to reach us by email, it is info@inquirehigher.com. And so if you had any specific questions just based on, looking at the website, if you wanted to schedule a consultation, we do free consultations just to, again, kind of give some starting information, about the concerns or questions that they do have when it comes to preparing for college, and if they wanted to set up any appointments, that we can definitely start, doing some one-on-one sessions. And again, we still do workshops as well. So if there are organizations that are out there that serve, students who are looking at college or might not have those resources available to them, especially at high schools where, or the larger high schools where there are, quite a bit, a vast number of students, but only a few, college counselors. We're definitely there to help with some of that burden by providing information. So you can reach us out at any of those points, and we'll be, happy to help and kind of help with getting students on their college journeys.
Great. Thank you so much. So I like to end by asking my guests what Live Financially Savvy means to them. And so if you can tell me what it means to you.
So being financially savvy to me, and I would speak on behalf of our company, is having access to the information early and often. Feeling in control and very intentional when it comes to your finances and the investments that you make to simply make your life better. So the more control that you feel that you're in, that brings forth more confidence in allowing you to take advantage of the opportunities that life has available to you. So that's what being financially savvy means to us.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast and explaining what you guys do and all your college prep that you guys are helping these students with. I'm sure your students and your parents are very appreciative, because this is a stressful time. Coming up, trying to figure out what you want to do when you're 16, 17 years old can be so stressful. And adding the financial burden on that. So you guys are offering a wonderful service. And so thank you for coming on to speak about it.
Yeah, and thanks again for having us. We definitely appreciate it.
No problem. So have a good night.
All right, thanks, you too.
So I hope you guys enjoyed that episode with Selvin from InQuire Higher. You guys can reach out to him. You'll see in the show notes how to get in contact with him. And if you guys have any kids that are on their way to college, I think you guys should connect so you guys can kind of with a plan on what's the best options for you guys financially. And if you guys have younger kids, you guys can start planning now based on the information that Selvin provided. So I just hope that this episode was informative for you. And now that you listen to the end, we can discuss the giveaway that we're having. So InQuire Higher is having a giveaway where you can win a financial clarity session with me. So a financial clarity session is 1.5 hour session with me where we will work on a financial area that you want clarity on. And so we can do anything from create your healthy money menu, going over 3 months of financial information where we can create your healthy money menu, which is another word for a budget. And so we can get you started on your healthy money journey. And we can create a debt repayment plan if that is an area that you want to discuss. So go to InQuireHigher.com or go to The Savvy Accountant, or you can find us on Instagram for the contest rules, and everything will be listed there on how you can enter for your chance to win a financial clarity session. So I look forward to all the entries, and I look forward to speaking to you guys again soon. Thanks.
So I want to thank you for listening to the Live Financially Savvy podcast. You can hear the episode at livefinanciallysavvy.com, and you can get all the show notes at livefinanciallysavvy.com. You can follow us on Instagram and on Facebook at Live Financially Savvy. And let us know what you think. Please like, comment, and share, and rate and download wherever you listen to your podcast. I really appreciate it. Thanks. Bye.